All right, YouTube, what's going on out there? So, real quick, November 5th, 2017, the Trump administration is still intact. Antifa was not able to overthrow the rightfully elected president of the United States on November 4th as threatened. Anarchy didn't happen. There were no rioting in the streets, not to any sustainable amount. In fact, it was very muted. It was almost bizarre that the media wasn't reporting on it more. These marches across the United States, from Atlanta to San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, Texas. Now, I'm an expert on the subject of psychological warfare. I'll go into that to a later date. This looks to me like the New York Times ad, the $100,000 that was put there to promote this uprising, this removal of the Trump-Pence regime, elected by the Russians, of course. And of course, ironically, turns out all these Russians are actually Democrats because their failures got Trump elected. If you want to blame anyone for Trump's presidency, whether you love him or hate him, blame the Democrats. You know who they are. I don't need to name names. So I almost wonder if this was a huge psychological operation to make the alternative media, the conspiracy theorist type crowd, look bad or discredit them. And then on the other end of it, make Antifa look like a reasonable, rational group of protesters who are simply unhappy that they lost so badly when they didn't get there. And of course, you have a mishmash of Bernie Sanders supporters, Hitler supporters, full-blown communists, ISIS, feminazis. I mean, there's just a whole slew of people that are not happy about it. So you almost wonder if whatever organization, and I'm not privy to this information at all, but whatever they're doing at the organizational level, it's almost like they were told that they should have behaved themselves for this uprising, for this so-called overthrow. Because if they actually intend to follow through with their plans, it has to be some kind of long-term conducive goal. In other words, it has to actually be thought out, planned out, and perpetrated over time towards that goal. So with all the hype built up around it, not necessarily from the mainstream media, because unfortunately all they did was go to attack the conspiracy theorists, something about Antifa super soldiers. I don't know what the fuck. I didn't say that. I had nothing to do with that. With that in line, and then the muted reporting on these rallies, because I'm a news bug. I'm on the news all the time because I want to pretend I know what's going on out there in the world. But it was very strange that there wasn't more press coverage. But on the other end of it, on the internet, in the, let's just say it, the more conservative right wing, I don't like alt-right, that's stupid. You use that, just whatever you want to say. That it was basically, this is it, civil war, violent takeover, riots in the street, none of that happened. So basically this is a psychological warfare operation to make Antifa and this movement, which they definitely will resort to civil unrest in the future and violence. They'll continue to attack Trump supporters to make them look like a more rational movement, a more rational party, if you will, even though they're not anything of the sort, unless you want to call it an ongoing Halloween party where everybody dresses like stormtroopers and beats up Trump supporters. And then on the other end, make the right-wingers on the internet look like fools, basically. So I see this whole thing as a huge psychological operation. Now, today is November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. So the question is, what's going to happen today, right? This is the day. This is the one-year anniversary that they despise so much. So anyway, I just wanted to make this video real quick. Do not be fooled into thinking that Antifa is not dangerous and not potentially violent to achieve their goals of overthrowing the presidency. That won't happen, but it doesn't mean that they won't continue to try on a subversive level. I'd also like to point out that this huge explosion of information, rigged election, Hillary's emails, Uranium One, on the left, and basically the entire table being turned around on those perps at the higher level may have something to do with this muted demonstrations across the country. So that's also something to consider. that they may be toning it down a little bit in order to kind of deflect away the attention that would be given to them and say, okay, well, we're going to have a rally, but we're not associated with her. So that's also worthy of pointing out. But this is psychological warfare, ladies and gentlemen. This is how it works. And that doesn't mean that the shit won't go down any day of the week and twice on Sunday.